Good evening, everybody. It is 7:30 and I will call to order the Thursday, April 9th meeting of the New Rochelle Public Library Board of Trustees. We do have a quorum. There are two absentees. Unfortunately, one of our trustees is ill and another has a family commitment. But with our quorum, we can still hold the meeting, and we will start with the Pledge of Allegiance, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States, to the republic which stands one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice. Thank you. Okay, I am going to, it's only one change to the agenda, and that is just switching the order of the board committee reports for the Personnel Committee to report last. That is the only change to the agenda, and I'm saying that in real time. Therefore, I'm going to make a motion to adopt the meeting agenda as presented with that one slight change at the end for the board committee presentations. May I get a second, please?
I'll second. She said.
Seconded by Tatiana. Okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Motion passes and the agenda moves forward. Okay. Moving on, I'm going to pass it along to my colleague, Rhiannon, the secretary, for the approval of the minutes.
The minutes of the March 12th board meeting were shared with the board at the time, and so I would like to make a motion to accept the minutes of the February 12th, 2026 board meeting.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor to accept the minutes for the March 12th, 2026 board meeting. May I get a second? Seconded by Vera. All right. Any questions, discussion? Okay. All right. I will call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion passes. Approval of the minutes passes. Great. Thank you. We'll move on to regular business, and I am delighted to pass it on to David Menner, who is also celebrating his birthday today. And I just want to have that on the record that you're joining us today for your birthday. So thank you for that.
My pleasure. Anytime. Good evening. So there's a new WLS mobile app that should be ready sometime during April 2026. And it is anticipated that this app should automatically update for all patrons when they downloaded it previously on their phone, etc. We had a preliminary WLS financial audit. It was performed March of 2026, not finalized, but there were no significant concerns identified as part of the independent audit. In terms of the IT department, so the IT department has always provided computer hardware, as you guys know, for libraries as part of the managed service fees. But this practice has been discussed for the last couple of years, but at this point, there's going to be some more intensive reviews moving forward, and mostly has to do with the financial costs and the implications with updating these hardwares. So based on the current economic environment, the prices that were presented to the board, prices keep escalating at a much higher rate than inflation. So for example, our director of IT noted that a unit of computer hardware was about $675 in 2020. That was essentially during the COVID years. And now it's about $1,200 that's quoted now. And it's expected to just keep exponentially increase despite discounts and bulk orders, et cetera. So the challenge is that the rising prices make it hard for WLS and IT department to deliver the same level of service to libraries without increasing the fees each year to match appropriately. So the discussions that are now going to be underway with various member libraries is how to provide a service model for hardware support that will address the needs of each individual library, while also keeping the cost more predictable from a budget standpoint, which I think is always challenging for member libraries. So whatever changes are made, it's not going to be immediate, but this is on the horizon, probably in the next few months to end of calendar year, on how to move forward to allow for adjusted anticipated increases in hardware without obviously inflicting too much difficulty, financial strain.
Thanks, David. Any questions? David, just I have one. Does WLS anticipate that these are, you said increasing every year, so the fees will increase every year?
So that's the concern, is ultimately unless grants or the county or state approve greater budgets, then ultimately the fee has to be passed on.
Mhm.
Because WLS in some ways just acts as kind of the intermediary. for
Right.
this. So that's the challenge, is what means do we have of controlling the costs? So that's more predictable for New Rochelle Library as well as the other libraries from a budget, because your budgets obviously are approved the year before.
Right.
It's hard, and we're struggling with that. I know the IT department is struggling with that as well. So I don't know exactly what the solution is going to be, but we're
Mhm.
gonna have to come up with something.
Mhm. And, okay, Corey. Wait,
My only question is, because all computers are moving more to the cloud from storage and things like that, do you see the necessity for having your hardware, because everything's really in the cloud now, it's not so much demand, not as much
Yeah, it
demand.
depends in terms of how many workstations. That's ultimately what it boils down to,
Okay.
meaning that,
Public works.
yeah, that's exactly right. So, or workstations for the employees,
Mhm.
et cetera. So I think there is an argument to be made, and we've talked about this in WLS, that for patrons that are literally just using the card catalog, their one means of saving money would be not really having a whole hardware station for just accessing the card catalog.
Mhm. And you can go to the information desk, for
Yeah,
example.
exactly, or tablets or whatever.
Right.
There may be less expensive ways
Mhm.
of doing that particular search. But if you're looking for the actual hardware computer because you want office products or someone studying, that's where it gets trickier.
Right. And I think that's anyone going on the internet would be using an actual hardware computer as
That's right.
opposed to a tablet.
That's
Tablet would
exactly
be
right.
short-term kind of
That's right.
something. Okay, any other questions for David? No? Okay, all right, thank you. Okay, we are moving on to the president's report. And there are just a few things that I wanted to mention. The first is a new piece of news that we learned most recently that occurred officially this week. Amy Teets, who is the longtime president of the Friends of the New Rochelle Public Library, has officially stepped down as its president and from serving on the board. She will continue to volunteer for the next several months. This isn't normally something that we would note in the president's report, but I think it's really important to not just mention this, but to talk a little bit about Amy, because she has been such a fixture with the Friends and at the library, and also in the community. So just bear with me while I talk a little bit about that, because she was unable to be here tonight with us because of the family holiday. So volunteering with the Friends has been a family tradition for Amy. She's following in her mother's footsteps, and is a second generation member of the Friends of the New Rochelle Public Library. She has been involved with the Friends since 2005, and after serving initially as co-president since about 2014, she took over as president, has been kind of an Uber volunteer ever since. She has spent countless hours and days sorting through new donations, cataloging books, determining the value of what will be sold for those books, coordinating large book sales, and bringing in more volunteers to the Friends and its bookstore. The Friends have been a long supporter of the library and its programs and other needs. And I just want to give a brief example. There is in a 2014 interview with the Patch, Amy noted that there's a quilt that hangs, and I meant to look for it. And I still believe it is here. That's been hanging in the library lobby for years, and it was done specifically for New Rochelle. And the quilt needed to be restored, and there weren't funds necessarily available for that in the library's budget. So the person who was in charge of community relations at that time went to the Friends and asked what could be done, and that was a donation that the Friends provided to the library to restore that quilt, to ensure that piece was still available for the public to take a part of. So that's just a small example of one of the donations that the Friends has done, just beyond some of the programs that it has supported at the library. And so we just want to thank Amy for her time, for her service, for her deep commitment to the love of reading, to the freedom to read, to the joy of having books, and to the library and to the Friends of the library. I wanted to note that. And then, I don't know if anybody else wants to say, but we're good there, right? Okay. Thank you. And following that, I wanted to get back to library business, if I can separate the sheet. And I would like to make a motion to name a nominating committee to the board, and the purpose of the nominating committee is as the terms come to a close for the trustee officers, which end every June 30th, a new set of officers is identified and recommended by this nominating committee for consideration by the board. So per Article 5, Section 5.5 of the library bylaws, as president, I am establishing an officer nominating committee consisting of 3 trustees, Fala Cortez, Tatiana Infante, and Vera Salter. And this is for the purpose of identifying and then recommending a slate of nominees for officer positions for the upcoming term to be confirmed and filled at the annual meeting in July of 2026. The committee should contact prospective nominees and obtain their consent to serve for the 1-year term. And the committee shall report its recommendations to the board during the July 11th, 2026 meeting. I would like to get a second. Seconded by Corey. Any questions or discussion? Okay, hearing none, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Great. Motion passes. Thank you. Our director, Eugenia Shatov, is not here due to family holiday, and we are just delighted to have our assistant director join us, Janelle Robinson, who will provide the director report.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. As Lucille so graciously introduced me, my name is Janelle Robinson, and I am the Assistant Director here at NRPL. Eugenia could not be here tonight, but I'm happy to share an update on her behalf. I'm pleased to report that NRPL has been selected as a featured case study for the Library Journal Design Institute. This is an exciting and meaningful recognition of the work we are doing as part of our master facility planning process. As part of this opportunity, our project will be highlighted for a national audience of library leaders, architects, and design professionals. In addition, we will be paired with experienced architects who will work with us to further explore our goals, challenges, and opportunities. This collaboration will provide valuable professional insight and fresh creative thinking as we continue shaping a vision for the library's future. Being selected as a case study affirms that our approach is thoughtful, forward-thinking, and aligned with best practices in library design. It also positions NRPL with a broader national conversation about how libraries can best serve our communities through well-designed, flexible, and welcoming spaces. This is a unique opportunity not only to learn, but to also contribute to the field, and it will help strengthen our planning efforts as we move forward. We'll share more updates as this progresses, but I wanted to take a moment to share this good news and to thank you all for your continued support on behalf of Eugenia. Thank you.
Thank you, Janelle. That's really great news to hear, and I'm looking forward to that. Thank you. Okay, we're moving on to the treasurer's report. And with respect to this item, I want to note, as we've done in past meetings, that the officer of the treasurer is currently vacant. So there's no report to review, and the board continues to move forward to appoint a treasurer. Per our bylaws, the treasurer is a part-time employee who serves at the pleasure of the board, as well as a sworn officer of the corporation. This is an important position. We take this very seriously, and the treasurer will be playing a key role in numerous upcoming critical initiatives. So with that, I want to move on to the board committee reports. We'll begin with Rhiannon and the Budget and Finance Committee, please.
Okay, so Budget and Finance Committee has been hard at work. A lot of things cooking. On the topic of the treasurer, we have a financial consultant, Michael
Castingay.
Thank you. From Brannigan Solutions, who his first official day was March 23rd, and he has come in and really has hit the ground running. And he's working with Eugenia, the library director, and her team to go through the internal controls audit, the general audit that we've just completed, and to help us put new financial policies in place. And he's working on financial reporting that should be ready for our next the special meeting, the next special board meeting at May 12th. And so we look forward to that. The 2026-2027 budget, the board and together with our library director has approved the budget that will be on the ballot on May 19th. Just want to reiterate that we're, as a board, very conscious of the everyday financial challenges that our taxpayers and New Rochelle residents are facing. And with rising costs, we're proposing a very modest budget that addresses really only the most pressing needs of the library for the coming fiscal year. And so that is what we have. That's what we're putting on the ballot, and that we're holding a budget hearing and presentation on where we actually have 3 separate dates where we're presenting the budget and then the infrastructure bond, which I'll get to in a minute. We will have the official budget presentation on May 7th at 7:30 right here in this theater. And we have 2 information sessions about the budget and the bond, the infrastructure bond. The first one is next Thursday, April 16th at 7 o'clock right here. It'll also be online. And the second one will be the following Thursday, April 23rd, also at 7 o'clock right here, same place, and also online. The infrastructure bond has been approved by the school board to be placed on the ballot also on May 19th. It's a $55 million bond, capital improvement bond for really necessary library improvements and renovations. And so there will be much more information and a lot of time to ask and answer questions at these information sessions that we're holding. We'll also be reaching into the community, and we'll be appearing at PTA meetings, at neighborhood association meetings, and anybody who will have us to speak about and answer any questions that the public might have about, especially this bond, which is a unique thing that the library is doing, very necessary, but we understand there's a lot of questions, and we're ready and prepared to answer them. And the Budget and Finance Committee is meeting again on April 29th at 8:30 a.m.
Great. Thank you, Rhiannon. Turning over to Buildings and Grounds, Corey.
Thank you. Building and Grounds, we met April 3rd, 8:30 a.m. Our discussions were mainly around the library bond initiative, which is obviously top of our agenda. Really going through the pieces that it takes to actually execute what we want to do with revitalizing the library, cost estimates, structure, and timeline. We're happy to report that the basement is in complete compliance, and so we are no longer at risk. Thankfully, we've been able to remove all the books that were there, and also get rid of the fire hazard that existed for years. We've assigned Lothrop Associates as our architect on the looking at the revitalization of the library. So they'll be activated once we finish our contract with them. Third Way Space has been engaged to do a floor and space planning, which they started and they continue to do. And lastly, the Children Gardens Project. It's something that's gonna be done, but mainly towards the second and third quarter of this year. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Corey. Community Relations, Vera?
The Community Relations Committee met on April 6th at 9 a.m. And it's very exciting to see all of the activities that are taking place with regard to the master facility planning process. So the Community Relations Committee was reviewing the community outreach part of the facility planning process. And our meeting, in addition to the members, was attended by Catherine Soul from Lothrop Associates Architects and Margaret Sullivan of Margaret Sullivan Studios, who's a nationally renowned practitioner of community engagement for libraries and bringing libraries into a vision for the future. So it was an exciting discussion. As part of that work, there will be 12 sessions that will include staff and board focus groups with affinity groups of users and non-users of the library, a very large partner breakfast with up to 200 community leaders, and a large-scale community visioning process. So we're going to have a lot of activity. There'll also be a widely distributed community survey and tabling activities at the library, which will be put on by Lothrop Associates. So it's very exciting to have all of this engagement. The community partner breakfast will likely be held on June 10th if all the logistics fall into place. And we will also be sending the board, or I have already sent the board, a spreadsheet of all the potential invitees and would request that you look at it and see who's missing. So, so that was all very exciting. The meeting was adjourned at 10:10 a.m. and the next meeting will be held on May 4th.
Thank you, Vera. We will not have a report for the policy committee because our colleague is ill today. The personnel committee, Tatiana.
Hi, the personnel committee met on March 17th. And our next meeting will be for April 20th at 9 a.m. But I have two things. So I would like to make a motion for the board to approve the consent agenda for personal resolutions number 202604 1 through 4, according to the recommended action for each item.
Okay, so we have a motion on the floor to approve the consent agenda from the personnel committee for consent agenda 2026-04-1 through 4. May I get a second?
I'll second.
Seconded by Rhiannon. Yes. I did remember your name. Came a little late. Any questions raised? Okay. Hearing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion passes.
So I have something else also. I would like to move for the adoption of the following resolution. Whereas Jean Manning has served the library as an assistant to the director since June 3rd, 2013. And whereas Jean Manning has served consistently, loyalty, and in a way that helped leadership fulfill the library's mission to serve the community of New Rochelle. And whereas Jean Manning has announced an intent to retire on May 8, 2026, be it resolved that the board of the New Rochelle Public Library offers Jean Manning this public resolution of gratitude for her services and hearty wishes for a fulfilling and happy next chapter.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to accept a resolution noting Jean Manning's service to the library and also her pending retirement on May 8th. May I get a second? seconded by Corey Galloway. Any discussion by board? Okay, I'm just going to make a couple of notes and then I'll call for a vote. I will just say that I met Jean as I was considering running for the board. She brought a hearty laugh and a lot of energy then, and I think it precedes me and it will continue long after she has been an employee of the library. Jean joined, as Tatiana said, more than a decade ago in 2013 as administrative support to the library director, but she quickly became kind of a trusted partner in much of the work in the administrative office. She brought a good sense of humor, lots of stories about her travels, including her time at the Peace Corps, which she has loved tremendously and will tell anybody about it. And I think that's where she got her love for hot, spicy food. She has a big heart, has been thorough in her work, and was really instrumental in the transition to the new leadership of the library, and a really supportive resource to the officers of the board as we worked with and then after an interim to ensure that things were in place at the library. She has been long devoted as a New Rochellian all her life to New Rochelle, to this community, and especially to this library. So I personally just want to say my thanks to Jean for welcoming me, for helping me as a new board member, and also for supporting me as president of the board. Hearing no other discussions, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, Jean, we wish you well in your retirement. Okay, the approval of checks and warrants, I will turn it over to Rhiannon.
I am making a motion for the board to approve the consent agenda for checks and warrants for the fiscal year 2025-2026, warrant 38. That's it.
All right, we have a motion on the floor to accept warrant 38 for the fiscal year 2025-26.
Correct.
All right, may I get a second, please?
I'll second.
Seconded by Vera. Any questions, discussion? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes. I do not see any old business on the agenda, nor do I see new business, so we will turn it over to public comment. Okay, we have one Dwight, how do you pronounce your last name? Megan? Morgan? Okay. Please come, Dwight. You have 3 minutes. Please make sure that you state your you you stand there and you have the microphone. State your name and address. Just give me a second. Because there are 3 minutes and I just need to just hold on. So when the timer goes off, that will be 3 minutes, okay? And I'll let you know if there's a little bit of time running out. All right, good. You may
My
start.
name is Dwight Morgan from 405 Webster Avenue, New Rochelle, New York. So started working in the library December 22nd, 2018. At that point in time, I had lived in Mount Vernon, migrated over here, and over time, I developed a friendship, relationship with plenty of staff members. So, but one thing I never did was take shortcuts, no games, took my job real seriously. 7.5 years, no issues. March 13th, I was in an altercation where somebody were from doing my job, I was actually spit on. 41 years of my life, I've never been spit on one day in my life. Cool comes with the territory, I understand that. Didn't act out of character in any shape or form, professionally all across the board. For 7.5 years, I've done things, nothing no different. A week later, I'll say a week and a half later, I was removed from the site, and it's all right. It was just the way things were done. that bothered me the most. I was attacked, spit on in this building. More importantly, on the friendship that I developed, I am a father and I'm a son.
Mhm.
To this point, they don't even know what happened yet. And I'm not really here for my job or anything in that source. It's more for I'm trying to do for the next man up. Because I think there's a certain level of compassion that should have been involved in the process. One thing I'm gonna tell you right now, I never lied. I never took no shortcuts. I never did anything slick. For 7.5 years, I never had a write-up. So I felt like things should have been done differently.
Mhm.
And like I said, I'm not really here for my job. It's for the next man up. I never had a chance to speak for myself neither. Understanding I'm in a third-party company, I get it. Overall, I am a human. My name is my name. I've done a lot of community stuff. You can ask about me. I've defended so many people and been threatened with baseball bats, everything in the building. So it's a little traumatizing. I'm doing what I have to do for myself, but this is more so about making people understand compassion. You do things a certain way. Because just like I had a person attack me who was banned from the building because he felt some type of way, that's what we're dealing with these days.
Mhm.
Got to be professional regardless. And I just don't think things were done professionally. And it's understandable how the outcome is. They're saying it's for my safety, but please remember, I am a father and I'm a son. I do have responsibilities as well. So I just want to say thank you, because I do know all y'all,
Mhm.
and I always give y'all nothing but the utmost respect. I'm sorry.
That's good. Yeah.
So I get overtime? Thank you. Overall, being a Black man out here trying to do things the right way, and when things go left, it makes you think twice. And I could have went a whole other direction when I was attacked and spit on. But I did everything professionally. And I have someone to regret respectfully because of how I've been dealt with afterwards. Get what I'm saying? I
Mhm.
could have did things my way, but got to be professional. So that's all, ladies and gentlemen. I have no drama with nobody. I just want people to understand you won't get me everywhere. Respectfully. Thank you.
Thank you, Dwight. Appreciate that. You don't have to worry about that. It's okay. Thank you. Any other public comments? Okay. Okay, hearing none, I will call for adjournment of our April 9th board meeting at 8:03 PM. May I get a second? Seconded by Corey. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, passes 8:03 PM. Thank you all and have a good night.